Welcome back to Motobeto 82. In today's video, I will be doing the 4,000 mile maintenance interval on my 2017 Yamaha WR250R. Alright guys, I apologize for the ambient sounds. I literally live next to a highway, so there's always cars coming through, and it's a beautiful day out here in Texas, so there's a lot of birds out there chirping and whatnot. But anyway, so I'm going to go straight off the owner's manual. Keep in mind that there are Yamaha's recommendations as a general guide under normal riding conditions. So some of these maintenance intervals may need to be shortened depending on your riding style, the riding terrain you ride on, your geographical location, the type of weather you ride in. Some of us are harder on our machines than others, so take that into consideration when you plan out your maintenance intervals. Nonetheless, what the manual suggests is usually right on par with the everyday rider. Taking care of this checklist will keep your bike running in the most efficient condition possible, but most importantly, it's going to keep you riding safely. The maintenance and adjustments are divided into two sections: maintenance chart for the emission control system and general maintenance and lubrication. So let's get started. First things first, you need to put your WR250R on some type of stand or lift in order to make things easier to work on. Then you need to remove the seat, the fairings on both sides. That way you can gain access to some of the things that you're going to need to want to check. Okay, so there's two bolts underneath the seat. They're both 8 millimeters, so just unscrew those. Then you're just gonna push the seat back, lift up in the back, and take it out. Okay, so to remove the rear fairing, you'll just undo this bolt here. And just pull it forward and then out, and set it somewhere it won't be in your way, or like it. All right, now you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we're going to take off the front right fairing, and there's two bolts, one that connects here to the radiator guard and another one a little bit higher, so let's take care of those. All right, and the second part is to unscrew this bolt right here. All right, now to take off the front left fender, you just remove these two bolts right here. And now this bolt on the screwdriver tank. All right, now that you have the bike naked, almost naked, you can start doing some of these maintenance things. Okay, so one of the first things I like to do is to check all the different hoses, make sure there's no leaks or that they aren't cracked. I don't really do them in any specific order, but the ones I tend to focus more on is all the hoses that come out off the radiator that go into the engine, the water pump and whatnot. So these little pieces there, and then on top here. Then I also like to lift the gas tank and check the hoses or the fuel lines, and all the hoses underneath there. All the hoses look good. Don't smell any gas, so that's good. There's no cracks. I don't see anything out of place or that needs to be replaced. That was kind of loose. So all the hoses look good. There's no cracks or they're not too rigid, so they should be good for another while. The next thing I'm going to check is the spark plug. According to the maintenance cycle, I don't have to replace it till 7,000 miles, but I still want to check it to see, just to see if maybe the engine is not running correctly. That would be a good indication if the spark plug isn't wearing correctly. But the first thing I have to do is take all these connections off the tank. So the first thing I have to do is take off the electrical connection for the fuel pump. That's a little bit tricky. There we go. Got that off. And then I have to disconnect the gas line from the tank. Hopefully I don't leak too much gasoline. Let me get a paper towel first. So the spark plug is right there. So I need to take this electrical connection off, take the coil out, and then take the spark plug out. But as you can see, there's all this dirt on here that I don't want to get into the place where the spark plug is, because it's going to get into the engine. So what I'm going to do is blow that with some air real quick and try to clean it as best as I can before I go about taking that out. Okay, well, I got all the loose stuff out of there, but as you can see, there's still a lot of, I went mudding in it a while back, and as you can see, a lot of stuff got in there. So I'm gonna wipe that down with a rag. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is take this connector off. Put that off to the side over here. Then this coil should pop out. There we go. Let me just wipe away as much as I can before I open it. All right, let me go get the tools I need. I was pretty loose in there. Not loose, but it was easy to get out. Make sure you put something over the little hole so nothing falls in there. All right. So here's the spark plug. Doesn't look too bad. So I'm not gonna replace it. I'll replace it the next oil change, which will be 7,000 miles. As far as the gap, we'll see. We'll check the gap here in a little bit. It should be between 0.6 and 0.7 millimeters. I have a gauge here. So this gauge, this is millimeters, so this is going to be the 0.64. And it goes in there on both sides. It's a little tight on that side. As you can see, it kind of, or maybe it's just me, hold on. Yeah, it was just me, the way I was doing it. So that's 0.64. Now this is going to be 0.76, so this is obviously should be too big to get in there. And as you can see, it's not getting it there. Well, on that side it did. Yeah, so, and then this side, if I really push through it, so maybe they need to be tying a little bit. I have this gauge here, millimeters as well, so. .6. Yeah, it's slightly too wide. This is not very scientific, but it will do the job. I stopped right there, right at the 0.7, so that's close enough for me. Like I said, I'm going to change it anyway next time around, so fuck it. I'm just gonna clean this with the wire brush. Get all this stuff off of it. So yeah, this one's getting close to needing to be changed, and it will be changed the next time. All right, so there you go. Here's the spark plug cleaned. So I won't change it this time around. I'll wait till the 7,000 mile maintenance cycle to do so. It's 9.4 foot-pounds. So let me get my torque wrench. There we go, that's clicking right there. All right, so now that's torqued to spec. Just gonna clean this off here. You just put it back in there. Make sure it goes in tight. Or not tight, but like all the way in. You gotta hear that little pop. I don't know if y'all were able to hear it. Where it pops on. Then you just connect the plug, the electrical plug in there. And bada bing, bada boom. You're done. All right, so spark plug is done. Now you got to put the tank back on. Okay, so then the next thing I'm gonna check is the exhaust. This is an aftermarket exhaust, so all I'm gonna really do is check for leaks and then just make sure all the bolts are tight. As far as leaks, there's really, on this aftermarket exhaust, there's only really two connections. One here, and then one on the header where it connects to the actual motor. As you can see here, I did a really messy job, but I sealed it with silicone sealant, exhaust sealer. So I wouldn't think that there's gonna be any leaks on this area. You would be able to tell, because there would be exhaust, to the touch. There's nothing to the touch. You would get, for example, if there was a leak, look at my finger, that black, you would get that type of I guess carbon, or I don't know what it is exactly, but that's what you would get on the finger. Same thing over here on the header side. You would be able to visually see it, and like I said, when you rub your fingers on it, you would get that black mark on there. So everything looks good. It doesn't look like there's any leaks. I'm just going to retighten the bolts here real quick. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is clean the air filter. I have a no-toil air filter, so I'm going to use some of their products to clean it. But first, let's open up the air box here. So here's the no-toil filter. So you can see it's a little bit dirty. So I'm gonna get that cleaned up. So this is what I'm using. I'm using a no-toil filter cleaner. I put in about 1/4 cup in warm water. So I've got a little bucket with warm water, and I'm just going to put the filter in there and let it soak. The best part about this product is that it's biodegradable. So you can just toss it in your yard if you want to. It's not going to do anything. Or you can just run it down your sink. It's not going to hurt anything because it's not corrosive. It's nothing. You can get it on your hands, not worry about it. All right, so here's the filter now. You probably can't see the difference, but it was kind of hard and sticky when I took it off, and now it's nice and soft, and it's not sticky anymore. Put that to let it dry. And look at the oh crap. Look at the water. You see how dirty it is? It's all the stuff that came out of the filter. All right, so I'm gonna let the filter dry a little bit. Then the next step is to put a little bit of oil on it. So while the filter is drying a little bit, I'm just going to wipe down this area right here of the air box. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some filter oil on the filter, and then I'm gonna put some rim grease on the rim of where the filter goes, and then we'll be done with the air filter. So as far as the emissions control stuff, that's really all I do. You know, just check the exhaust, make sure everything's good, check the spark plug, check the air box and the filter, make sure everything's okay. Check all the tubes, make sure they're not cracked. And then the last thing I do is I put some seafoam in there. I put it in a gas tank, and then I also put it directly through the cylinder, which I go through I bypass the air box. You know, it's not gonna It's not going to damage your engine at all. Next, we're going to change the oil. The plug is underneath your bike. Make sure you have something to catch the oil in, and also make sure you warm your bike up. That way the oil will flow down a little bit easier. And it's going to be a 12mm socket. And that's it. Just wait for it to drain out. All right. So I'm also going to change the oil filter. So you would want to replace or take these off here, which they're going to be 8mm. All right, so you want to make sure that this oil ring here is still good. You can see there. Make sure that oil ring is good. If not, just replace it. All right. And then you just take the oil filter out. Wipe around the area, make sure everything is nice and clean. Also make sure that this oil gasket here is okay, so they look good. As far as the oil filter goes, this is the oil filter you probably want to go with. This is the Yamaha OEM filter. Here's the part number. There we go. That's the part number there. There's really only one way you can put it. So as you can see here, the big hole. This goes out because this part has that little metal there that goes in like that. So make sure the big hole is facing out. And then just for measure, just get a little bit of oil and put it on the plastics parts, although it's not like it's a sealant, but I don't know. I guess my dad, ever since I was little, he got me used to doing this, putting oil on the plastic parts. So now that that's on there, you just put the part and then put the screws back on. Just gonna finger tighten them. And they go in the same, I forgot to mention, but get in the habit of whenever you take the screws out, put them in a way where you can put them exactly where you took them out. If you need to get a piece of paper and stick them there, or if you can just put them on the floor and remember, however you want to do it, but get in the habit of doing that. That way you put the bolts back exactly where you took them out. For this particular case, it didn't seem to be important, but when you start taking out other parts, there's going to be some bolts that are longer than others. So you know, avoid getting confused and taking care of that, you know, beforehand. All right, so and I don't have a 1/4 inch drive torque wrench, so I'm just gonna torque these. I'm just gonna torque them. Wait, what am I doing here? Jesus. I'm just gonna torque them, you know. Okay, so that's finger tight there. That's finger tight there. That's finger tight there. All right, so just go 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So half a turn will be there, 1/4 will be here. And that's it for the oil filter. All right, now I'm gonna put the drain plug back in the bottom. Same thing here. I'm just gonna torque it 1/4 to 1/2 turn. All right, and as far as the oil, I'm using the Yamaha. I'm using the Yamaha engine oil, the SAE 10W40. And with the filter change, it takes 1.48 quarts, so one of these and half of the other one. Let me go get the little thingy to do it. All right, now you just put the cap back on. And then you just give it a start. Look for leaks. Just kind of let it sit for a little bit, and then we'll check the oil level, make sure that it's right here. There's you can't see it because of the skid plate, but here there's a little window with 2 lines where the oil level should be. As long as it's between those 2 lines, we should be good. But we'll let it sit for a little bit, and if it's too low, we'll add some more, but I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to. We're good. Right now it's leaning to one side, so you have to straighten it out. When I straighten it out, it's actually right at the very top of the, so we're good with the oil. So the next thing I'm going to inspect is the front sprocket, rear sprocket, and chain. Make sure that everything is looking good. So I'm looking at the rear sprocket right now, making sure that, you know, there isn't any unusual wear patterns, and that they aren't too pointy. Usually when they're pointy is when when you can tell that something or that they need to be replaced. So it looks like they're wearing evenly, which is a good sign. The chain seems to be straight. Can't find any kinks or anything bad with it at the moment. So the rear sprocket looks good. Front sprocket looks good too. It's not pointed, or at least on the face, the side facing me, it looks like there's no uneven wear patterns or anything like that. I don't know about the other side because I won't be able to look in there, but I'm assuming it should be fine. Then the space still, guess it's not time to adjust it yet. It's not too loose. As long as it doesn't, this is like half an inch from there, it should be fine. So that's good. The clip is still on there. So yeah, normally what I would do as well is I will clean the chain, use some degreaser, clean the chain really good, and then I would lube the chain, but I'm going to wash the bike, so I don't want to do it again after I wash the bike. So I'm just going to wait till after I wash the bike to do that, but normally that's something you would want to do in the maintenance as well. You want to degrease your chain and then lube it, get it nice and clean. All right, so everything looks good there. Let's move on to the next thing. So here's the coolant reservoir. As long as it's between these two lines, you're good to go, and that's fine. This interval cycle, there's no need to replace the coolant. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to check is the front brake. I'm going to make sure that it's not too much play. So that's normal play right there. So that's normal right there. Make sure that it's not spongy, so it's nice and tight as well. And then I was looking at the fluid, and see right there, it doesn't look like too dark yet, so I'm not going to change it. Just come on, focus. It doesn't look too dark, so I'm not going to change it just yet. Let me take a look at the calipers. All right, so the caliper seems to be good. There's no leaks from brake fluid or anything like that. The brake line is fine. I checked it out a little while ago, and there's no cracks. See the brake pad. The disc looks fine too. You can't tell from this side because it has the guard there. And then the brake calipers still have some life left, so they'll need to be replaced. And while I'm here, check the bearing, and as you can see, it seems fine. Doesn't seem like it's locking up. So the wheel bearing looks good. All right, so the front brake seems fine. Let's take a look at the rear brake. All right, so the rear brake lever, it's fine. It's not spongy and it's not loose, so there's some pressure on there. So that seems to be fine. The rear brake reservoir is behind the frame slider here. Okay, so there's the brake reservoir. Looks full, and as you can see, the fluid doesn't look too dark yet. So I think I'm gonna hold off and change it next time around. So the caliper looks fine. It doesn't look like it's leaking any fluid. The disc, I mean, there's some wear on the disc, but it looks fine. It doesn't look warped either. Then I don't know if you can see, but there's plenty. Looks like there's plenty of life on the brake pads as well. So no need to replace those just yet. Okay. So the rear brake looks just fine also. So let's take a look at the clutch. Here's the clutch. It does have a little movement, a little play, but I don't know if I need to tighten it or not, but so that's where it starts to, yeah, that might be a little too loose. I'm gonna have to play around with the clutch here. Yeah, the clutch is a little loose, so let's take a look at it. See what it could be. So clutch cable's back. What else? Then you can also check the steering column. Make sure that it's not loose. Make sure there's no play in your forks. That's good. Alright, now I'm gonna check the lights. Right side is working. Left side is working. Let's check out the brake. So the front brake light is working. And then the rear brake is working. Alright guys, and that's it for the 4,000 mile maintenance cycle on the 2017 Yamaha WR250R. The main things were to change the oil filter, clean out the air filter, check the spark plug, make sure that it's usable, check the coolant, make sure that it's between the two lines, the low and the high, make sure the brake fluid wasn't too dirty, which they're not. Both reservoirs look fine. Check the controls, make sure that they're working properly and that they're to spec, which they are. Check the exhaust, Make sure that it's, all the bolts are tight and that there's no leaks, which there wasn't. Check all the hoses, make sure there's no leaks, no cracks, which there wasn't. Check the steering column, make sure that there wasn't any play. One thing I didn't show on video was the fork seals. Make sure the fork seals weren't leaking, which they weren't. And what else? Oh, and to make sure that your lights are working properly, your blinkers, your headlight, your rear brake light. So everything is in order. Luckily, there was no valve clearance to check, so usually that's when things get a little bit stickier. There's more to do, more to take off. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And take it easy. Peace.